This time of year, stories of the dead can bring history to life.
And this Halloween, we want to tell you a local ghost story.
The Epperson House was once a symbol of wealth and prosperity, but now it sits abandoned, except for the spirits within.
KCTV5's Nathan Vickers visited the historic mansion on UMKC's campus.
They say you can sometimes hear it, the faint notes of an organ echoing from a mansion on a hill.
People just have a fascination, with the macabre and the dark side of history.
It's one of many stories Chris Wolf enjoys telling visitors to the UMKC campus. Stories about Uriah and Mary Epperson. Wolf is a history buff who works in the university bookstore. He gave us a tour of the stately manor built in 1919. One of the largest Kansas City had ever seen.
It originally had 48 rooms. There was a swimming pool in the basement. Mr. and Mrs. Epperson both had their own suite of rooms.
Epperson made his fortune as an insurance underwriter. He and his wife never had children, but they did have Harriet.
They met a local woman named Harriet Barse, who was an organist, and she actually played the organ for their church.
The Eppersons thought of her as a daughter, took her in, and even commissioned a large pipe organ for the mansion, an instrument she would never get to play.
Before the organ had arrived and could be installed, she became very ill. She ended up dying on the operating table from a surgical shock.
Uriah Epperson died a few years later. Mary lived here until her death in the 1940s.
The home fell to Mr. Epperson's business partner, a man named James Lynn, who in 1942 donated it to the University of Kansas City.
Before long, stories started circulating.
Ghosts, who knows? I think they might be real.
I have heard several different stories about it.
I don't know what's true, what's not true. Heard it's haunted.
There's the tale of a security guard in his patrol car who felt something go bump in the night.
Was writing his report when out of nowhere a car comes up the driveway behind him and rear ends him.
But when he got out to look, there was nothing there until he checked the cobblestones.
And he can see where there's skid marks behind his car where his car has been shoved forward 8 inches.
There are also reports of ghostly hands appearing in doorways and a mysterious light with a mind of its own.
At the very top of the tower will turn off and on its own.
The university used the space for decades after, but today it sits empty, leaving much to the imagination.
It just gives off this kind of creepy vibe.
It looks haunted. Yeah, that's a creepy building. It's so cool.
These days, the university keeps the house closed to the public. They've had problems with break-ins and vandalism, and they say the inside is pretty deteriorated.
People have gotten inside of it and smashed some of the priceless hand-carved woodwork.
In some ways, it seems like the living may haunt this place more than the dead.
Which is unfortunate that people, take what could be, just kind of a fun thing and they take it to an extreme.
The university is looking at ways to restore and use the Epperson House. That's why Wolf enjoys showing people around.
The history of this house is important. This house is important to Kansas City.
We stayed until night, just in case. A light shining through a window made it easy to imagine the echoes of Harriet's organ. But it's difficult to think about the years of damage inside.
If it were to be torn down, it could never be replaced. Once it's gone, it's going to be difficult to tell that story.
Ghost stories express a different way of preserving history. The buildings, the lives, and the legends within. In Kansas City, Nathan Vickers, KCTV5 News.